Hello and welcome to Cuesta Sports Monthly, an in-depth look at Cuesta athletics. I'm Peter Schuler, and on this month's show, we'll be looking at wrestling, cross country, and get an early look at basketball. We begin today with wrestling with Coach Joe Dansby and grappler Connor Pollock. We'll also welcome Coach Brian Locher and Connor Fisher from cross country, and just before we leave, we'll steal a few minutes with basketball coaches Rusty Blair and Ron Barba. We're joined now by wrestling coach Joe Dansby and 2013 state qualifier Connor Pollock. So, we'd just like to welcome you guys to Cuesta Sports Monthly, just fresh off your second straight Southeast Conference tournament. Getting ready now for the regionals coming up after Thanksgiving, yes, which is tough. I'll ask you right now, as a wrestler, knowing that that's your big feast day, is that a little bit tough for you watching all that food pass by?
It's a very, very difficult day for me. Yeah. So you got the family coming.
But you come back that, you survive that. That gets you a little stronger for the regionals coming up because you got to make sure you make weight.
Yeah.
I'll ask you right now. Last year you dropped down from 141 where you're wrestling now, and spent most of last year at 141. Then it went to 133 towards the end. You think you'll stay at 141 this year?
Yeah,
more comfortable.
Yeah, I certified for 41, and I'm just planning on staying there the whole year. Last year, I think I can make 133 again, but I just feel better, and I think I can compete at a higher level at 141.
This is more comfortable weight, not really sucking it up to train.
Yeah, let's just say that this Thanksgiving is going to be a lot better than the last one.
Yeah. All right. Well, coming back from last year, you made the state qualifier at 2013. What kind of your hopes coming into this year?
I'm ranked second right now, and I'm hoping to take first. The rest of the guys ranked first right now, and definitely a winnable match.
Now, is there something you developed last year? What was some of the learning experiences you picked up from last year going to state that are going to help you this year, or have helped you this year, because you're actually having a great season?
Yeah, just how much more physical college wrestling is than high school. That was the biggest adjustment, and I think now instead of taking the physicality of it and actually getting beat up, it's kind of the other way around now. So,
you're the hammer.
Yeah,
the nail.
exactly.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Now, Joe, this is your second straight Southeast Conference tournament. You're going back to state again. You guys have piled up a tremendous amount of individual wins this year, 238 to date. School record's 270 set last year. What are kind of the keys for you as a coach to building that kind of atmosphere out there in the room?
Well, it's funny you mentioned I haven't told the kids that we have 238, by the way, yet. As we're closing in on the record, but I was going to tell them today. But, we have a set of guys that just really work well together, and they actually help coach each other through a lot of these wins and root for each other in the stands. And I think they care for each other so much that they each want to actually win for each other, not necessarily passing records because they don't know that yet, but they really want everybody to, they don't want to leave anybody out. They want everybody to win, not very selfish people.
So even though everybody talked about this a little bit in cross country, even though it's an individual sport, you really created that team atmosphere out there, and you all kind of you're in the room, you're sweating together, you're working together, you're bleeding together pretty much. It really brings a bond amongst your teammates and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, one of the things, as one of the elder statesmen now as a sophomore, what are some of the things that you bring back that might help with some of the younger guys or some of the guys who maybe didn't have as much success as you did as a freshman? Are there things that you bring back and pass on, or is it just all by example?
I lead by example for the most part, but I mean, as far as practice partners and stuff like that goes, the physicality I was talking about, you definitely want to bring that element to kind of show them what it's like when they're going to get out into that college match and see how physical the guys are going to be. So it's just helping them make that jump.
So making sure that practice is physical.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you're showing them. How heavy you can feel.
Yeah, exactly. But it also builds a bond, like he was talking about. To beat up on a guy or get beat up on a guy, and then shake hands with them after, and go get hang out after practice. It's a bond you don't really get in any other sport.
Right. I think not even just with your teammates, but also a little bit with the guys who you're wrestling against. I know the volleyball coach, Rocky Nystrom, she said she brought her team in to watch you guys wrestle, and the physical punishment that wrestler, winner or loser, takes during the match, and then to say, okay, nice job, you're done, really makes a difference. And what are some of those things? Is that composure you just have to understand as part of the culture, or?
That's a good, when you shake hands and you let it all hang out, and then the guy, if you've beaten a guy by 15 points and he comes back again, and he comes back again and he's still trying, and you beat him again by 15 points, and he comes back for a third time and he's cut the gap, and it's a mutual respect. Like, wow, you're still at this. You're still banging heads, and you're still trying to come out there and beat me. It's a very mutual respect, and it can happen on the other end too, the exact opposite way. I could be the one that's getting beat up all the time and losing and closing the gap, and it's just a mutual respect. This guy keeps coming at. Now, it's a hard sport. It's very easy to quit, and for a person to go a whole season long and keep plugging away, that's just an internal respect amongst wrestlers. And I know, as far as sometimes I've seen some people watch for the first time wrestling. It's an eye opener for them. They kind of think they know what it is about, and they go and watch and they go, wow, that's a lot of technique there. It's not just people grabbing each other's necks and shoving it into the mat. There's a lot of moves and a big chess match.
Yeah, going on. I mean, I think sometimes it's unfairly portrayed. You think about capes and
don't say WWF, please.
But I had the same experience. We didn't have much of high school wrestling in high school. When I came out here and saw your program, watched Gary Meiser's program, I really developed a respect for that, because you are the one-on-one in the middle of the mat, and there's no hiding. There is no place to hide out there. And you talked about it. We talked about injuries a little bit before we got on camera, about not letting anybody know, because that's if you can get that exploited, you're in real trouble out there, and no one's coming to help you.
Yeah.
So now, is that something? That's something that they have to learn, or is that something you help coach, or is it just something if you get into wrestling, you kind of expect that?
Yeah, I think when you go through enough seasons, you expect you're going to have some injuries, you're going to have some owies. I remember last year, Julian Purdy, our 141-pounder, broke his hand 3.5 weeks before the regional, and we talked and we had to coach him up a little bit on what were our tactics. We don't want to come out there with this big hand taped. We don't want to show everybody. We're not going to tell anybody. At the same time, we want to protect it and work around his hand at the time, or whatever injury you have, shoulder, knee. We have to work around that, and there is some coaching to that for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Now, we talked a little bit again before camera, but what were the things that brought you to Cuesta College, up from Folsom down to Cuesta College, and just what are your plans for next season too?
I just love this area. I've been coming here since I was little. The wrestling program too. Coach Dansby is one of the best coaches in the state. If you look at his resume, I'd say is it fair to say that you have the best resume?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. He's got the national exposure, and he's competed at a really high level, so that made it easy for a wrestling standpoint. And then just San Luis Obispo. Applying to Cal Poly next year. I've been in contact with their coach. It's somewhere where I'd really like to stay, is in this area.
All right. Now, Joe, we'll talk a little bit. Real quick, coming up, can you make a plug for the state championships being hosted here at Cuesta College? First time we've hosted a championship of any sort since 1998. So give me a quick plug for the championships coming up here.
It's a lot of work, and
that'll be December 12th and 13th.
December 12th and 13th, Friday and Saturday. We're hoping it's like our home field advantage. We're ranked 6th right now in the state. That's where we finished last year. So I think the kids get a nice sleep in their own bed and for a couple nights, and the fans out there hopefully plugging away gets us a few more victories and where we want to be.
Well, we'll get them out there to the state championships. That does it. We'd like to thank Coach Joe Dansby and Connor Pollock for joining us here on Cuesta Sports Monthly. Be sure to join them at the state championships December 12th and 13th at Cuesta. Coming up next, cross country on Cuesta Sports Monthly.
Cuesta.edu. Television, radio, broadcast, communication. Explore the world of digital communication and tap into your creative genius. Television, radio, broadcast, communication.
This is your boy, the DUI, and you're listening to KGUR.org.
Your digital future is at Cuesta College right now. Log on to Cuesta.edu now for enrollment dates and class information.
Don't get the boom in the shot. Blowing it, bro.
Cuesta.edu.
Welcome back to Cuesta Sports Monthly. I'm Peter Schuler. I'm here with cross-country coach Brian Locher and cross-country runner, our top harrier this year, Connor Fisher. Cuesta men's cross country is enjoying its finest season of the year and heading to the state championships this weekend. So, Brian, Connor, welcome to Cuesta Sports Monthly. Brian, how has this season rolled out for you? Obviously, you guys are going to state. You've had a good start to the season. How's the season rolled out compared to your expectations early on?
We had high expectations going into the season for our men's team this year, and to be completely honest, it's unraveled to we've achieved even more than I thought we were capable of at the beginning of the year. It's been really great.
Now, you guys finished second in the conference, just missing by 1 point, then finished fourth in the regional. We consider you state contenders right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think at the beginning of the season, we felt like the team that we were able to put together was going to be able to compete for a conference championship. Just so happens that the team that we've been competing against has been ranked number 1 in the state all year. That doesn't typically happen out of the WSC conference, so our ability to finish 1 point behind the state leaders, we're really proud of that. And, we finished 4th in Southern California, which is the highest finish in Cuesta College history. So, we've definitely assembled a team that has grit, tenacity, maturity, and knows how to run well when the stakes are high.
Now, it's not only just the newcomers this year. You brought a lot of runners back from the last couple of years. You have 3 sophomores, 3 freshmen. How does that work together, bringing those kind of groups together?
It's worked really well, actually. We have a lot of athletes who've rolled over. Alex Haskell, Nick Landy, who've run with me in the past. And this year we have really great leadership on the team. We've got a lot of tenacity. They've put in a lot of hard work. And I think the most important part of our success this season has been our frame of mind about how we go about our racing.
Now, we have Connor Fisher. Connor is the Western State Conference champion individually, brought you guys within 1 point of that title. Our first one in over 20 years.
Yeah.
So, Connor, how has it been adjusting coming back into the community college ranks and competing against community college for you? Has that been, you feel pretty comfortable right away, or is it something you've kind of had to work yourself into?
It's once you enter a new team, it's a new team. You got to learn the coach and the team itself. Brian met with me before the season even started. Just finally got me into the notion what this team was really about, and it was something I could work with. And then through the camp before school started, I really got to know the team and where I fit in there in the leadership position with workouts and runs, and it was a place that I fit pretty well.
Now, on a team with a lot of sophomores, even though you're running faster than everybody, what's kind of the mentality there? Do you take a natural leadership position as the leader of the pack, or you kind of step back a little bit and let those sophomores lead?
Well, Alex is our captain. That's above anything. But I can kind of help out in training runs and workouts and help people focus. But he's the man in charge. Put it that way.
Now, with you running wise, do you kind of like, as a leader, do you like to run from the front of the pack all the time, or you attack, or you kind of stay back a little bit mentality and kind of find your spot?
It depends on the course and the race. For conference, I stayed back a long ways, just making moves off the second guy. But then for WSCs and for state, I'm going to be hanging back a bit, seeing how the race goes out, and adjusting from there.
All right. Now, and state going up at Fresno again. So, of course, you guys have run that before. There's a lot of familiarity with that. How do you feel on that course right now?
That course is like a home course for me. I went to Central Section in high school, so I run there 4 times a year. So looking forward to being back.
All right. Now, Brian, this is your 7th straight trip with the men to the state championships. What's kind of the things that you've built over these last few years here? I mean, last 7 years is the longest streak we've had in school history. What's kind of the focus for you as a coach?
The mentality of our teams. I think the mentality where it's less about PRing on courses and more about the structure of the team, running well as a team, and just going and being able to race well on the day despite any poor circumstances with heat and weather and things like that is really the foundation of the most successful teams we've had at Cuesta. One of the hard things that is it's really difficult for us on a yearly basis because of our recruiting base is usually getting a number 1 guy on the team. We've always had good sticks, 3 through 5, and usually really solid, guys running in those numbers. But to have a number 1 like Connor's been really great. And then, like we talked about, we've got the maturity on the team with guys stepping up from last year's success. And then also some really good freshmen who've taken an active role in the team, been willing to commit themselves, and are fired up about running at Cuesta this year. And just all that culmination with our leadership and the guys gelling together and really understanding what the objectives are for us and what our goals are and getting ready to tackle those goals instead of being afraid of them has really, really built something for us this year, and off of the success we've had in the past, we're hoping to steamroll this into the future too.
Now, do you feel a little bit of that too? The success that you've had in the past kind of carries on. What do you do with the teammates as they're coming up? Is there something that you do, or you just kind of run and show it by example to help your teammates come along? Because you've had a lot of experience. You're up there in the front of the pack. How do you help keep those 6, 7 guys try and keeping up with you?
If anything, you show them the goal of what they're working towards. You got to remind them, in workouts, you'll let them lead a couple, or on a training run, they'll get to pick the run. Something to make them always feel like they're a major part of the team, in which they are. We don't ever want anyone feeling like they're an outcast or not involved with the process. And I think that helps build it for the future, because they're eventually going to be your leading guys. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing from both of you, we think about cross country sometimes as an individual sport, but both of you guys really just have a team mentality, and that's something that kept from Brian here, as a team mentality, work everybody as a pack kind of thing, whether you're first or seventh or ninth or a little bit further down the line.
Our goal at the beginning of the season was first and 10. Finish first in conference and top 10 in state, because we've never been able to do that before.
Right.
We got really close to finishing first in conference, the closest we've ever been. We've definitely got a team that should finish well within the top 10, and we're really looking to, and with an eye on third. We want to be within top 5 for sure.
Now, we're going to shift gears a little bit and talk about the women's program. You redshirted your top runner this year. They've made state 5 in the last 7 years. Kind of what's a plan for those guys down the line? Obviously, redshirt Allie Voth. What's kind of looking down the line for the women's program? I'm
looking forward to working with next year's team. I think we have some really good recruits that are about to commit to Cuesta for next year. We're going to help to reload our women's team. We'll roll over Allie to next year's squad. She's going to be in her 3rd year running for us. That's going to give her a lot of strength. Quite honestly, I think she has a spot at top 14 in the state next year, which is something that we haven't had a lot of here at Cuesta, but more of it on the women's side, and I think she should definitely be able to do that. And then a lot of our girls who are coming back, who have the strength and dedication to put in the time and the miles this spring and do the same thing over the summer, we're going to see a big difference. So it's going to be a lot different women's team next year.
Now, one of the things that you do, even though you have the team mentality, is you kind of cater your workouts to each kid. So how do you fit something for a kid to do?
We, my philosophy as a coach is that we have team goals, and all the athletes are going to try to help us achieve the team goal. But every athlete responds to different workouts and different training. So I plan out miles for the athletes, different mileage for different levels of success. Some athletes are doing morning runs, some aren't. Some take a day off every week, some don't. So we help just to cater that and help fuel the athlete's success based on what we feel like they can handle.
Okay, well, one real quick question. Tell us about, you brought back the Tour de Cuesta, and back there in the Fairbanks course. What does that mean, having a home course for you to race at, and for you as a coach to recruit kids to come and race it for you?
We're excited. I love Tour de Cuesta. I think it's a great meet. It's one of the best courses in the state of California. Coaches love coming here. It's a very challenging course, but we always get great weather. We get a lot of great teams that come in here, and it's fantastic. It's a fun race.
You enjoyed that course, Connor?
It's where we train.
All right. Does it for cross country here on Cuesta Sports Monthly? I'd like to thank Coach Brian Locher and our top harrier, Connor Fisher, and good luck this week at the state championships. When we come back, we'll visit with basketball, get a preview of what's coming up this year with the Cuesta Cagers.
Cuesta.edu. Television, radio, broadcast, communication. Explore the world of digital communication and tap into your creative genius. Television, radio, broadcast, communication.
This is your boy, the DUI, and you're listening to KGUR.org.
Your digital future is at Cuesta College right now. Log on to Cuesta.edu now for enrollment dates and class information.
Don't put the boom in the shot. Blown it, bro.
Cuesta.edu.
We're back with Cuesta basketball coaches Rusty Blair and Ron Barba here on Cuesta Sports Monthly. Both teams have jumped out to hot starts and made the finals in both of their first tournaments. Welcome, Rusty and Ron, to Cuesta Sports Monthly. Rusty, let's start with you. Heading into the season, you picked up your 400th career win last year. What's the next season looking like as we head to 500 wins?
What? Actually, I'm a little bit surprised of how we are playing. In my 23 years here at Cuesta College, I don't remember a team that has moved the ball as precise and unselfishly as this year's team has. So we're really surprised. I'm really enthusiastic about the performances. And our 2 sophomores are playing off the charts. And these guys were deep reserves last year. So it's looking good for us at the moment.
Now, how about you, Ron? You guys 2-1 in your first tournament, got to the finals. How are things looking for you?
I think, we learned a lot last weekend, and obviously our 3 sophomores, they contributed, but we got a lot of young kids, and they're learning the system. I think it's going to be the chemistry, finding which kids work with each other, but, they play hard. That's what you want this early.
You got to start with it.
All right.
Might not have everything in, but as long as you're putting the effort in. Now, both of you guys talked about your sophomores. Rusty, you had 2 sophomores coming back. Usually you'd have a sophomore starter or something like that, but you're bringing 2 guys off the reserves. Rafael Casanova, your leading scorer right now, almost didn't make last year's team. Talk about the development of both Rafael Casanova and Taylor Thompson.
Well, Rafael, he went home and he must have did some work because he came back a different player. Last year he was a standing 3-point shooter, never put the ball on the floor. I think the only time I saw him dribble was at the free throw line taking his 3 bounces. Other than that, he never put the ball on the floor. And this year he's one of the exceptional drivers in the league, and from what I've seen around the state. So he's at the basket. His 3-point is precise. He's passing the ball well. His body has changed. He's been in the weight room. His conditioning has changed. So I think he got it. I think he understood what was going on.
I was looking up his stats before. He played in 16 games last year and scored 32 points.
Correct.
This year he's averaging over 20 points a game.
Correct. It's once again, it's one of those developments that I rarely see, and we're very excited about his development.
Now, Taylor Thompson last year, he's 6'9", big-bodied guy. Last year you said you'd like to make him more of a post player. How's that development working for him?
Well, Taylor's been drifting a little bit to the outside, but to his say, he's really hitting the shots, and he's we call him a pick and pop guy. Even though he's 6'9", we like to have him in the post. He's picking and popping, hitting a lot of outside shots. And, by the way, he's averaging 10 rebounds, too. So he's at 14 and 10, a double-double, and another dramatic improvement from last year.
Now, you've had 3 sophomores come in. All 3 have seemed to have stepped up their game a little bit. You want to talk a little bit about Jerica Crosby? Really ended the last year on a string of good, solid games. How has she's
Well, Jerica's improved quite a bit, not only just her inside, but her outside. I mean, she's actually a heck of a shooter. And her defense has picked up. One thing is she was all tournament up at the last tournament, but she had double-doubles, and for the season she's got a double-double in average and rebounds, and she's really picked her game up. I believe Kaylee Williams, she's going to have a solid year for us.
Kaylee's your returning first team all conference
and she can defend. I mean, she's a good defensive player. We were hoping more offense we would have seen from her over the weekend, but I think that had a lot to do with jitters, first game, getting to know kids, that kind of thing. But she did a good job on the players we put her on. The other one, Ashley Gamber, finished the year in the state playoffs with 12 points, picked right up first game, knocked 17 down, and pretty much was doing our outside shooting. And, our 3 sophomores, we expect them to show improvement as well as leadership because they've been in the program. I think those 3 should have, really fine seasons if they just keep progressing.
Now, Rusty, you've added to your sophomores obviously a lot of newcomers with only 2 sophomores, but you've also got a mix of not just players from Europe, but also a lot more of the local kids. Some domestic, at least. We'll call them domestic because they're from all over this country.
Yes.
But how is your freshman class working out for you?
Freshman class has been exciting. As I said before, when going into the season, I didn't think they were going to move the ball like they're moving it. Totally unselfish. Everyone's playing for the team. If this keeps up, we'll have a very successful season. So I'm very excited about our new freshmen coming in.
Now, you also have some freshmen from around the states, but What are you looking at from your freshmen? What's kind of the things that stood out for you?
Well, I think Annika Rovig from North Dakota there, she came in, and that was a pleasant surprise, point guard and shooting guard. And she has basically been off to a great start. She's actually our leading scorer, leading assist, and I think second or third in rebounds. But she's bringing something good to the team. She played on a high school program that won, I think, their Division 4 straight years and state title two straight years. We also have Felicia Cabral from Connecticut. She's 6'2" and has probably one of the nicest shots on the team. She sat out last year, so she's working on some of the rust getting back in. But we have Melody Ayers from Atascadero that's done a really solid job at point guard for us right now, plus defending. The surprise has been Chelsea Kelly out of Cabrillo. I think she's worked extremely hard. She's earned a lot of minutes in the last few games just by her physicality. So, we have a good group of kids, and it's just, they're battling for spots right now. And that's what non-league's all about, is trying to get your rotations down.
All right. Now, Rusty, you just played in the 46th Rabobank tournament. This is the 50th year of Cuesta's basketball, and safe to say the last 25 years with you as the head coach. You've built something here. What are some of the things that you are looking for in your team and going to another playoff berth, as you've been doing pretty regularly now these days?
Well, I think they just have progressed as they demonstrated that first weekend, and it's very rare that a team is going to come out and perform like that. Having so many newcomers on the team and inexperienced sophomores to play like that. So, as I said already twice in our interview, Pete, that I think we're on the right path right now to have a very successful season, as long as we can keep sharing the ball like we're doing right now.
Now, Ron, you came into a program that had won 4 games the previous year. You won 5 the next year. 2 years later, you're in the playoffs. You're in the playoffs again last year. What are the things that you've done to kind of create a program identity to get this program back to where it had been in the past and
Well, I think it starts with commitment, being committed to coming to practice every day, putting in the time at practice, adding more games to the schedule, making the players realize there's a commitment to competing, but also to working hard in practice. And I think when you see the individual awards come with the team stuff, I think players say, wow, they're going to colleges after they're playing there. The kids are getting placed. But more importantly is they're learning lessons throughout the program. And I think the best one is they're getting discipline. They're learning, the commitment to showing up to practice, being accountable, winning games. You're competing to get a championship hopefully every year and making state playoff run. You won state title. I think that's everybody's goal as you come into this.
Well, hopefully we'll have you guys back here in January and we can talk a little bit more about what we've done in the pre-conference,
right,
and get ready for the conference and maybe get to the state title, at least the playoffs. So I'd like to thank Coach Ron Barba and Rusty Blair for joining us here on Cuesta Sports Monthly. That concludes today's edition of Cuesta Sports Monthly. Remember to stay up to date on Cuesta Athletics. Visit the Cuesta Athletic website for information on Cuesta Athletic teams. We'd like to thank today's guests, Joe Dansby, Connor Pollock, Brian Locher, Connor Fisher, Rusty Blair, and Ron Barba. This show is produced by and at Cuesta College by the Cuesta College Broadcast Communications Department as part of the Cuesta TV project. Check out Channel 19 all year long for this show as well as our ongoing broadcasts of Cuesta Athletic events. I'm Peter Schuler, and for all of us here at Cuesta, thanks for watching and thank you for your support of Cuesta Athletics.